Now, CNN senior political analyst and former presidential advisor David Gergen. David, I mean, should a candidate at this stage know the difference between Hezbollah and Hamas?
Yeah, I think you should know basically a lot about the Middle East and the dynamics of the Middle East. Hezbollah being, in Lebanon, and Hamas being in Gaza, for example. You do need to know that. But I must say, traditionally, Anderson, that when reporters have asked candidates, who's the head of this African government or that African government, what's the difference between Tajikistan and Pakistan, those are regarded as gotcha questions. That's an old trick, and those are gotcha questions. I think far more relevant at this point for a man who's leading the pack in the Republican Party, who's never spent a day in public office, is to come forward with thoughtful views and well thought out views on national security and where he would go. What is his strategy post the Iran agreement? What strategy would he propose for the Middle East? And secondly, Anderson, we need to know who's going to be coming with him. It's not just who goes to the White House, who is coming with you. And we need to begin to see people around him as a Republican looking for the Jim Baker, looking for the Brent Scowcroft. Are people like that going to be at his side? That's really critical for him.
It's interesting, though. I mean, the most specific policy he's talked about probably, and I think it's fair to categorize this as the most specific he's gone into, is dealing with ISIS. He's talked about bombing the hell out of them, surrounding the oil fields, taking the oil, using American troops to protect those oil fields while American companies go in and take the oil. If the critics of that policy, a lot of military experts we've had on this program, General Hertling, who commanded U.S. troops, I think it was 2007 to 2009 in northern Iraq, has said, that's just not realistic. It's just not. I mean, that's the kind of argument somebody would make. Just say bomb the hell out of them. If that is your policy, the fact that you don't seem to know a lot of the details, specific as they may be, about who the players are in the region, it does sort of bolster the argument of his critics who say, well, look, he's not really, it's a very complex situation in the Middle East, and to not, I mean, I don't care necessarily about names of people, but to not kind of know who the dynamics. I mean, he says there are no Iraqis, there is no Iraq.
Well, listen, it's absolutely true that it's a roll of the dice for the country to elect somebody to the presidency who's never held public office a day in his or her life. And we have now Ben Carson and Donald Trump now leading the Republican field, and neither one of them has spent time in public life, and they should be held up to scrutiny, and we should expect certain standards. But I don't think that necessarily, when you have a roll call, as you had had, of terrorist leaders in the Middle East, I doubt many foreign policy experts don't know all those names. I don't think that's the standard. I do think that's a gotcha. It's trying to reveal gaps in his knowledge. But what we want to know is, are you going to be surrounded by people who don't have these off-the-wall ideas, who can rein you in, help you sort of see what reality is, what realistically is possible, what you can do, what your options are? That's when you want somebody who's going to have his finger very close to the button. And is going to be answering that phone call at 3 o'clock in the morning. You want somebody who is surrounded by good people and becomes more thoughtful than he's been so far.
And that's certainly the point that Donald Trump has made repeatedly, which is, look, I may not know this stuff. I don't have the experience having done this, but I'm going to hire really good people, and I'm good at identifying people who do know all this stuff.
Yeah, a turning point in George W. Bush's campaign, for better or for worse, was when he assembled a whole group of foreign policy experts around him, brought them out and said, these are going to be my people. Presidential candidates traditionally do this with economists and economic leaders, people out of Wall Street. You need to know the quality of people who are going to be with him. So far, this Trump thing has been a one-man show.
Right.
It's a dazzling show. But at some point, the showman's got to stand back and say, where's the beef? Right. And who are the people who are going to produce the beef?